Good morning. It's Jean Kuhn. And this morning, my guest is Agnes Loughlin. And Agnes is a former nurse. She's also been a nurse practitioner with a master's degree in nursing from DePaul University. Years ago, Agnes transitioned from nursing into Japanese wellness with Nikken at the invitation of other nurses. And she learned how to heal parasites. She now is a higher brain living facilitator and a healer of many different types of medicine. Is that correct, Agnes?
Yes.
Awesome. And what she learned is that we are spiritual beings living a human experience. We heal on many levels. Agnes, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you about what you do and how you're helping other people.
Well, thank you, Jean. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So I'm curious is how a nurse goes from from nursing, right, a Western medicine there, to all of the natural, what people might look at as alternative medicine or alternative healing. How did that transition happen?
Well, Jean, for me, it wasn't difficult at all. It was really simple because I've always been a why person. Why is this happening, or why is that? And for me, when I became a nurse, I was 50 years old already. So I was, looking for myself to understand what was going on. And I certainly saw a lot that really didn't answer my questions of why. I mean, for example, a textbook in nursing says that the cause of arthritis and hypertension is unknown, and that just didn't appeal to me at all.
Oh, interesting, right? That hypertension and arthritis is unknown.
Yes.
That's crazy. What do you think it is?
Well, I think there's many factors involved. I think that being spiritual beings, that there is nutrition, there are parasites, there are emotional issues, and all of those form who we are.
Awesome. So how long did you stay a nurse before you made this transition into alternative health?
Well, I started studying and learning about it in 2004 because the paradigm in Nikken was focused on wellness, and that really appealed to me because what we have is really a sick care system. So the focus on wellness was very appealing to me because in my own perspective, I wanted the best for myself.
Right. Well, and it's interesting that how long were you a nurse then? Because you said you didn't get started until you were 50. So how long did you remain a nurse and work in that?
I worked until I retired.
Okay.
So I retired about 7 years ago, something like that.
Awesome. All right. So it says here in your bio that you are a higher brain living facilitator. What the heck does that mean? I don't know what that is.
Well, higher brain living, I say I'm a joy facilitator because it brings joy to people. A lot of people are stuck in feeling lonely, disconnected, just procrastinating. And higher brain living is sort of a real organic type of modality, just using my fingers to send energy to what we call the higher brain. That's the prefrontal cortex right in your forehead.
Okay.
And that's the most evolved part. It's, the human part of us that is fully evolved. Actually, we have 4 brains, and they all evolved over time, for over millions of years. The first part, our most primitive brain, is called the reptilian brain. And it's sort of like filters our experience when we have stress. Like it's really good because it's meant to protect us from like tigers eating us and things like that. But a lot of times, you know, and actually stress is meant to be dissipated. It's not supposed to last a long time, but over time, we've evolved to such a degree that our environment has stress triggers that stay with us a lot longer than they should. So that stress and that hold of the lower brain on our behavior, filtering our experience, can become what we call habitual, so that we're constantly in stress. So when you energize the higher brain, you have more joy, more confidence, more awareness of where to take action in your life.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a reptilian brain. We have the most
Evolved.
Evolved brain. What are the other two?
There's the mammalian brain and the neocortex, or it's like integrated with the prefrontal cortex. So
what do they do?
The mammalian brain is about some emotions and instincts to care for like the young and all of that.
So those are like our natural born instincts, right? Those are our
they're more evolved.
A mother.
They're more evolved instincts, yes.
Okay, so I know you mentioned emotion there, right? In that brain, is that where the is that for someone who has maybe emotional issues or something like that? Is it trapped there? Is that where that happens?
Well, I don't want to separate the brains, because as each brain has evolved, and actually as we are born as children, our brain's not fully developed. In fact, the prefrontal cortex doesn't fully develop until around the age of 21. As the child develops, it goes through various stages of integrating those brains and different types of motor skills and things like that. And to say that, these brains are integrated to form a fully functioning individual, but a lot of times, trauma or any type of experience can halt development in integrating our emotions and our experiences. It's important for us to integrate our experiences and to evolve as humans using the full potential of our brain. And actually, they say that we only use about 5% of the potential of our brain. So that is, says a lot about humans, that we're stuck in what we call repetitious patterns, conditioning, whatever. It's like you get up in the morning, you make your coffee, you make your breakfast, you brush your teeth or wash your face, and it's all conditioned. And that's what most of our life is, a conditioned set of patterns. And a lot of times we have difficulty going beyond those to create new experiences for ourselves.
So do you think you use more than 5% of your brain?
I believe I do.
No, I'm just wondering. I just wondered so tell me why you think that. Give me an example of why you believe that you do, because knowing what you know about the higher brain, tell me why you believe that you do, you use more of it.
Well, since I've gone through higher brain living and healing modalities, I think that I have more awareness. So the key is more awareness to catch yourself, to keep from like, for example, if you're having a conversation with someone, you can recognize sometimes that you have patterns either of not listening or being reactive instead of thinking carefully about a response. So it's involved in all our behaviors and interactions that we can stop, pause, and choose different behaviors, different outcomes.
So, so do you help people then get past that? Is that what you're doing, is you're helping them gain more awareness and maybe let go of some, I think we all have these self-limiting beliefs, right? Is that what you're doing with your higher brain living? Are you helping them let go of those self-limiting beliefs?
Well, higher brain living isn't necessarily about letting go of self-limiting beliefs, but once you become aware that they're there, then it becomes possible to release them. I use theta healing, emotional healing, to release limiting patterns. And
Okay.
a lot of these are inherited, but higher brain living is really about sending energy to the higher brain to empower you to become aware of the 4 key areas of your life that change is possible in. So we focus on those 4 key areas, which are your mind, your body, health, your relationships, and your external creations, which includes your career and money.
Oh, very cool. So I want to ask so you said that you use your theta healing for that. How do you know if someone has an emotional issue that's trapped in them, or if they have a self-limiting belief? How do you know that? How do you help them?
Great question. And the answer is that we use muscle testing. And sometimes we can teach the client to do that. And I'm very skilled at it myself. I've used it often, not only on clients but myself, and I find it's a very powerful once you understand how it works.
Well, so for those who don't understand what muscle testing is, can you
Yes.
give me a little bit more info, or maybe show us or something?
Yes. Well, we're all connected to what we call the infinite field of consciousness, where everything is known if we know how to ask questions. So
Okay.
muscle testing is really about asking powerful questions.
Give me an example of a powerful question.
Do I trust myself?
Okay.
But actually, we make statements when we do muscle testing based on the questions. So I would probably say, I formulate the statement in terms of a yes or no answer. So I trust myself. And then I would either press on someone's arm or I use my fingers. There's multiple techniques. It's not the technique that matters.
Right.
The point is that the person doing the testing, the body responds instantly, either a positive or negative. So if you're doing like with my fingers get stronger when I say yes, or your arm is more rigid when the answer is yes. When the answer is no, your arm drops down. I don't often use that one. The one that's easy to use is what we call the sway method. You stand up. If the answer is yes, you go forward. If the answer is no, you go backward.
Okay.
But all the answers are held in what they call the infinite field of consciousness, which we can access by asking or making powerful statements based on asking and knowing, having an awareness that we may not trust ourselves, trust God, believe in ourselves. Like, if one of the most powerful things that I muscle tested for myself was the belief that I can shine and be brilliant.
Okay.
And then you find like a core belief. I mean, there's probably more than one belief that, but a lot of the beliefs, and are related to how we see ourselves. And actually, we're connected to what we call divine spirit, whatever, God. And that a lot of times we see ourselves as separate from our divine potential. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense, that we don't view ourselves as powerful as God,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So are you saying that we should be, that we are?
Yes, we are. We have that and we can access that, but the programming is there that we have to realize that it's there before we can move on or embrace more of that. And I'm not saying it happens overnight, but it can be in some ways instantaneous, but how we evolve that can take time.
Gotcha. Okay. I know that you um, consider what you've done is moving from nursing into joy. Tell me how the joy piece fits into everything that you're doing right now.
Well, to me, the issue is that more and more people feel less and less joy by experiencing what I call loneliness or disconnect. And loneliness is a big issue in our society today. My audience is mostly women over 50, and we have more women today and more people in our society living alone.
Mm-hmm.
We have more people that just don't are single. They're not necessarily married. So we have all these people looking for connection, and we have more expectations of connection, and we have less how shall I say, opportunities for that unless we really become proactive. And for me, that was a big issue in my own evolution, in just realizing that I was lacking my own joy by not allowing myself to feel more love and connection. So I think, if you go to the statistics, it's amazing. Like Cigna Global Health has done surveys, and like 60%, 61%, according to the latest in 2018, report at least some feelings of loneliness. And I wouldn't say loneliness is a disease, but there's a continuum in us of, some loneliness, that's normal. But when it lasts longer or keeps you from enjoying your life, I mean, there's another continuum of what you would call depression, which is considered illness. And I think that a lot of us are on a spectrum of that, some degree of loneliness, depression, and loneliness is a major risk factor for disease. So it's that, stress trigger that allows us to not enjoy our life, to not let ourselves engage in life.
So I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer this question, but did you find yourself in a place of disease and that's what brought you to all of this, or is it something you just found?
Well, Jean, I have experienced disease, but that was not the real trigger. I think it was my own home environment and my own unawareness of how I am the creator of my life. And I didn't really understand that. And a lot of us, I guess you would call us victims. A victim is someone who doesn't realize that or has no awareness that they are the creators of their lives. So for me, I felt like even in my 40s that I had no friends, that relationship was something that happened, and not having the inner sense of power that I was the creator of that. So things came to a real head at one point. I was, having, how shall I say, issues in myself, but you realizing that it's probably universal. I mean, that the awareness that we are the creator, that we are the ones creating whatever is lacking in yourself. I love the quote that whatever is lacking in any situation is what you're not giving. So
Yeah, and in my world, I always heard that you teach what you need to learn. So I think that's exactly the same premise as what you were just saying right there.
yeah.
Right? You teach what you need to learn. So so yay for you for figuring that. Where do you feel like, what age were you when you feel like you finally found your joy?
I was 64.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So what does joy look like to you?
Joy.
Yeah.
Well, it's being a joy facilitator.
I know, but tell me what, because, people put different definitions of joy. So what does joy for somebody, what does that look like for them if they've never experienced joy? And I believe there's a lot of people out there who haven't. If they've
Yeah.
never experienced true joy, what does that look like to them? How do they feel? What are they thinking about? And apparently, how much of their brain are they using once they find it?
Well, that evolves too, but joy is about living in the moment and seeing possibilities in every moment too, that the universe is there for you. It's empowering you, supporting you, that life comes through you, and that joy really is contagious. There's a famous quote, I don't know if it's Mother Teresa or what, but it says joy is contagious. So it's not, it's feeling connected to who you are, to your sense of aliveness, a sense of aliveness that whatever you're doing, you're participating in the universe's energy to evolve life, to evolve yourself, to connect to other people, that we're all one giant field of connection and power, and that we're all here to support each other.
So how would you know who could really use the services that you provide, right? So there must be an indicator that like the person who gets the best results from me, what's the issue that they have when they come to you? Because I don't think they're coming to you saying, Agnes, I really could use some more joy in my life. What are they saying?
Exactly.
So what are they saying when they come to you?
Well, those 4 key areas of your life that I mentioned. So they probably don't say, I'm coming to you because of mind issues, but they might have emotional issues, not feeling connected like I was, or just not knowing what to do. And health is one of the major issues. So health, meaning we create our own health. I mean, Buddha said that, you are the creator of your health and your disease. So any health issue is related to how we see ourselves, and we connect to our own sense of who we are. And relationships. So relationship is a big issue in terms of we create that on a daily basis, how we interact with other people. And I have a daily mantra. I'm always updating what I say. We call them resolutions, about how I feel about my body, my relationships. And fourth one, like I said, is
that the number one is they're not feeling well, maybe, right? But the other part is they might have something wrong with them, or they're not feeling like they're maybe not feeling like they feel well, right? They know they could feel better. You talked about the fact that they may not be feeling well. That might be one of the indicators. But then you also talked about the fact that it could be a poor relationship. And so here's what I've noticed, and maybe this is the part that's confusing to me, because when people usually have a bad relationship, right, over and over and over, right, every relationship doesn't turn out well for them, they don't think it's them. So how do you come to that where and maybe if they're hearing this, they're thinking, maybe it is me, right? If they're having a bad relationship over and over and over with other people, how would they know that it's them, and how would they know to seek help with that?
great question. So, as an example, I think health is a lot easier to understand, but relationship is a little more complex. So we create relationships, and when in the process of creating resolutions in higher brain living, we focus on what's not working and the action steps we want to take to create more or better. Mm-hmm. And these can change as we evolve. So, for example, for me, I create a statement about how I'm in relationship. I say, I connect easily with others by complimenting them and being curious. I am a compassionate listener. And then I make a statement of how I'm feeling. I have joyful, deep, blissful, ecstatic relationship. I mean, this is a more evolved thing, but I mean, I'm saying that in the past, I had felt that I wasn't connecting with other people, and I could have blamed it on my husband because he had an addiction at that time. I wasn't aware of how to create relationships, but when I joined Nikan and I was sort of given the opportunity to go outside of myself, to detach from my husband's television habits and things like that, I enjoyed the opportunity of meeting other people. And doesn't mean I connected with everyone in the right way or whatever, but I saw myself as an agent that was creating my life. And I think I took it to a whole new level with higher brain living.
Awesome.
But I think the most important thing that happened to me was just a very acute awareness, after a relationship that was very brief and, not anything significant, but it was significant because I realized that my life was off track. And I read a book called Power versus Force by a psychiatrist. He's dead now, but it's a very powerful book about how we are, there's different levels of consciousness, and like the more we become aware, the more we can connect in higher levels. So I mean, this might seem kind of woo-woo to some people, but for me, it was life-changing, that book.
I really love the fact that you've done all of this work on yourself, and I think this is how you really find happiness, is by finding that happiness in yourself.
That's what I do. I empower other people. I don't tell them. It's about them discovering it.
I want people to be able to find you. You tell us what your plans are for your business and how people can best find you.
I love doing monthly meditations, and I'm post them on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Miracles in Wellness. My business, my website's miracle.com. And I also do retreats to find more joy and connection. I love doing that for have people really experience that in-depth connection with themselves and others. And I'm planning one in Hawaii for 2021, and hopefully one this year, short one, but the one in Hawaii is going to be 4 days. If anyone has questions, they can email me or contact me through my website. My email, my regular email is just my name, Agnes Loughlin, LOUGHLIN @comcast.net.
Awesome, Agnes. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that people are going to reach out and find out how a higher brain living can really support them in a lot of different aspects, and especially about bringing them more joy into their life.
Yes, thank you.
Take care. Bye.
My pleasure.